How you guys doing? This is Andrew at Flory PB, and Happy New Year. It's New Year, and we haven't forgot about making videos or part videos, but it's just been a hard winter as far as getting videos up has gone so far. The priorities have taken place of this, but it's a new year, and you guys know that we do chargers, and that's actually the first thing we have to do this year is about 100 more chargers to make to put back up for sale because we are currently out of them. But after that, this year we are really dedicated to expanding our product line, putting out some more products, and I want to give you a sneak peek at one of the products that's coming out very soon and products that we are pushing and developing. Because when I started making parts, it was actually parts for Phantoms and Sheridans. The first parts I made as Flory PB were stainless bob valves for Phantoms, and it's just we were playing pump paintball a lot, and that was kind of the scene then. And you know, a lot of older guys played pump. There were guys with means, guys that actually had the money to do some custom parts, and we made a lot of hard parts. Most of them weren't exactly, or none of them really were exactly performance-based parts, but they were style somewhat and ergonomic-based parts. We made a lot of parts for Sheridans, a lot of parts for Phantoms, and a lot of parts for other pumps, custom pump handles, stuff like that. And the whole idea was semi-custom. This is a blank I've left over from a one-piece feed system for a Phantom. This one was a dud that I was machining. And I was doing all this machining by hand, or manual machining. One kid in his garage going through college, just trying to pay for paintball tournaments, because we were doing the MPPL series then in the pump division. So I was just going through the summer and just making enough money scratch by to go to the next event and play. So that was cool. And yeah, we started back up. I started this back up. I have a good job and everything now, and a couple buddies that are trying to test parts for me and stuff like that. But started this back up because I had a little bit of time, and I want to serve the Angel community in a way, because I always loved Angels, and it was always the marker I shot for a long time. So there was definite need for chargers, or a decent smart charger that wasn't too expensive, because the old car chargers were going for like 40 bucks, 50 bucks, something crazy. I know you could build your own, but you could build your own for about 20 bucks, which is what mine costs. And it's pre-built, so why go through the hassle, basically? So that's why I did these, and these sell well. Like we've sold a lot of these. A lot of people needed a charger, and you know, it's getting some markers back on there. But to add to that, the next product that I'll show you guys, that I'm going to show you guys a build video of, is we are making adapters based off of a batch of old IntelliFeed cords that I was able to purchase from a guy. So I got about 80 of these, and we can turn these into charger adapters, such as this one here. This would be a charger adapter that allows you to plug into the standard Angel charger and be able to charge an Angel LED from the standard adapter, or the standard Angel charger, or the standard smart charger in our case. So hopefully that's a nice game saver. And you know, they're kind of a bitch to make. I'll show you the process. We're definitely not going to make a ton of money, but that's not really the point. The point is more get products out there, get these markers working, and you know, have more people, so more people can have fun with these, because the old school markers are coming back. The old school electros are kind of not hot right now, but the mechs are hot right now, and it's probably coming in a few years. You're gonna see some more old school Timmies and Angels and stuff like that wanting to be shot in impulses, just because, I mean, if you haven't shot an Angel, you haven't shot an old Timmy or an Impulse. They're just so fun to shoot. They're not great. They're honestly not even close to as good as the modern markers, but they're just fun. That's one of the main things about them. They're super fun to shoot. And you know, I could make these out of OEM Angel parts, which is good, because I was starting to make them with I got ends 3D printed, and that was a big hassle. But now I have this batch, so I can make at least 80 of them out of OEM Angel parts, which would be cool. And that's gonna be the next thing you're gonna see up for sale soon on the eBay store. But going forward from there, something that we've been testing, you guys have probably seen in some of my videos, is this is our lube that we made, developed by us. You know, I miss Angel Love Juice. That stuff was great back in the day, the red stuff. And realistic Angel Love Juice and AKA Battle Lube was just automatic transmission fluid. So we kind of went with that and kind of went one step further and cut some more stuff into it. This is a premium. It starts out as a base, as a premium, fully synthetic ATF fluid that is actually specifically formulated for the winter, which means it has a viscosity modifier in it. So it stays a more constant viscosity through a larger temperature range, or through a drop temperature range, I should say, down to colder temperatures. Because when you shoot a paintball marker, it gets colder on the inside. It doesn't heat up, it gets cold. It gets cold as the air expands. So it keeps it a similar viscosity for a longer range. We also added a little silicone into it, because silicone and O-rings really like each other, and silicone lube's good for that. If you've seen like Eclipse lube, that's a silicone-based lube. And we added some PTFE, so micro powder of PTFE into it too. Just a little bit, makes it a little stickier than a standard oil-based lube is. But not really sticky, it's just sticky, or it will hold in place a little better than a standard lube. And we have a few bottles of this stuff. We are thinking about eventually bringing these to market, hopefully pretty soon. I've been using it, and I've had people use this for a while. It tests great. It works very well. So that's one of the products that we've been developing for a long time, actually. I just cut these a while ago, and these are the bottles that we found. Big learning process, put them in these bottles and everything. But this is one product, and the other product that we were making is, I kind of have a goal here. Something I've learned, or something I've witnessed when I work on people's markers, is when you have these older Angels that you're trying to get restored and everything, your tank now, your modern tank, it's almost hard to find one that's the old 850 psi preset that the old tanks used to be when an Angel LED and LCD and IR3 were out in the wild. And people are trying to play with the old LCDs and stuff like that, and they're getting low velocity, and I ask them what their tank pressure is, and they say it's 850. And you know, it's, some of the people, you know, they swear it's 850. They even test it with a gauge. It's 850. They send it back to me. I put my 850 psi tank on it. Shoots fine. Send it back to them. Same issue. That the tanks are, you know, a Ninja's preset now, I think it's 650 psi, and I think a lot of tanks are pushing down towards that lower range. You can shoot a little further into the bottle that way, because it's with consistency, I should say, you can shoot a little further into the bottle. And one of the goals is to, you can definitely make an Angel LED or LCD or IR3 with slight modifications, some of the internals. You could definitely make it work on a 650 psi input to make it more friendly with modern tanks and modern markers and everything you have to do. But a couple things that we're noticing is, one thing that's getting harder to get is valve stems. Your cup seals or valve stems, they're kind of dying. Like they die through time. It's just what they do. And replacements are getting a little harder to find. And so what we've done is we've designed our own, and it looks a little different, or dramatically different, than the stock one. But you know, the intention here is to again, to try to get a little better airflow for what we can. I mean, we're not reinventing the wheel with these. We might try to make a whole valve if this is successful, but for right now, we're starting to make cup seals, and we're trying to do some improvements to the original design. But of course, running some hiccups along the way. If you can see, this one's necked. A little more airflow. The actual metal, the actual steel core. It is chamfered into here and chamfered out to try to induce a little bit better flow into the actual into the bolt of the marker. And that's the main difference between it. Can pull a little more flow in for the lower PSI markers, hopefully. Or kind of like what Cobra Paintball was doing with these valves when they were making the Cobra valve for the older markers. They had a neck down valve. But to accommodate this neck down valve, first I checked to see how hard this stuff was, and the original steel it's a fairly weak steel. They used nothing. It definitely wasn't hardened or anything. A file just bit right into it. So because we went a little bit thinner here and we lost all that moment of inertia and we're going to build some stress when we hit this, we went with a 4140 annealed steel instead of this mild steel the original stem was made of, which makes it be able to polish out a little nicer. It's not hardened. We don't really need it hardened. It's getting hit by a brass hammer. So if you harden it, it's going to deform the hammer a little more than it currently does. But its weight is about the same. We add a little more aero effects, I guess, or aerodynamic improvements to it just by putting that little chamfer on it there. Help the air not get stuck there and eddy there and push through, which is pretty good. And it's these, we designed them and I got them turned up by a local machine shop. Got 100 of them turned up on this first run. And the big goal now is I was trying to make the ceiling faces myself, or we're making the ceiling faces in the shop here. And what we're trying to do is learning from some of the best in poppet valves. A lot of people, a lot of the newer poppet valves are using Delrin as their core instead of this. This is some kind of nylon or urethane, the original valve stems, and if you put a Sure hardness tester on it, or a cheapo plastic hardness tester, it's a 60D. That's what the original is. The Delrin is a 100D, so it's significantly harder than the original plastic was. What that means is it lasts a little longer lasts a lot longer, significantly longer than the original plastic will. But what it also does is, part of the valve and how it opens is that initial hit with your hammer is your biggest transfer of energy. So that initial touch, when you have a softer material in there, it takes longer to come off because it's deforming farther into the face of the seal, or the face of the valve. It takes a millisecond, a very small fraction, but it takes longer to start actually opening. And what that does, it delays the initial peakness of your pressure spike going into the valve. So with a harder material, you get a crisper response on your valve, and you get a little more in the front of your valve. So it's a little more efficient. It's a crisper hit that way. And that's why we're going for the harder material. The downside to the harder material is, though, this valve, the valve body and valve stem with the 60 durometer stuff, or the 60D stuff, it seals up pretty good when they're fresh and they're good. This, it's more difficult to get to seal up. We are trying to machine these faces super clean, but the only way we've been managing to get the seal up so far is if we lap it into the valve, which is a possibility. I think anyone trying to upgrade this might be down with that. Basically, you put a little toothpaste on there, and you rub it on this like this for a little while. Then you do that, and just like you're lapping in a valve on an engine block, on a head, you're gonna smack it in, lap it, and you keep doing that until you develop a little sealing groove, or a little flat spot with the face of this that mates incorrectly. And we're trying to prevent that from happening, but that might be how this goes, or we might have to switch to a softer material for people that don't want to do that, and we'll probably still offer a more performance-based material for people that are willing to lap in their valve, because if you're going this far, it's not too much harder to pull your valve body out if you're pulling the cup seal out anyway. And again, it just gives you that little extra peak in performance, and that's kind of what we're going for here. With that, another thing we're trying to experiment with, and one of the other products we're going to start making prototypes for, is bolts, because this is one half of that. A more free-flowing bolt is going to improve the air coming through and improve the whole setup and give us a higher velocity off of a lower PSI of air. So that's a big improvement. Also, if I've been looking at some of the quality of some of my soft face bolts I replaced most of my old bolts with, and the soft face is getting tired. It's getting real tired. It's just old rubber or old whatever plastic that's made out of, and it's about time that someone starts looking into doing something with maybe some of these more modern faces that Eclipse makes, or some of these available parts that you can go out and buy and get replacements for. So that's one of the next things on the agenda. The other thing is, I'll leave it as a surprise. After I was done with dimensioning this and making it and getting it turned up, I thought it would have been cool to make a video showing the thought process behind making this thing, getting the dimensions. So I have another part that I want to make. Might not ever make it to market or ever make it into production, but I want to show you the thought process and the theory and what we're trying to do and trying to accomplish as we design the part. Because a lot of these parts, it's not like you can't design this part to just be as perfect as you can. You have to design it to fit the system that it's in, and you're just trying to make an improvement on your initial system that you have. But you know, it's a trickier it's not trickier, but it's a tricky process, and you gotta make compromises. But there's some simple formulas you can follow and some relevant data that you can generally use to make a part that, or to design a part that's better than what was there. And that will be the next video that hopefully I can get out to you guys really shortly. After this one, this was supposed to be a quick one. Just want to say hi for the new year. We got some stuff coming up. We have some ideas. And these are some of the parts to look out for and some of the stuff that we're testing. You're going to see some more videos about these, probably how to lap them. I'm going to show you some videos of us machining this stuff, what I'm using to actually put all this together, and definitely some performance difference videos showing velocity change from the stock valve to this valve. Maybe I'll try to get a little more scientific if I can figure out a way to get a pressure transducer in the barrel. And yeah, that's it for this one. Again, Happy New Year, guys. We're not gone. We're still making parts. We're still trying some stuff, and you know, our goal this year is to produce a lot more of a variety of parts, not just the chargers, but start pushing into some hard parts again. Start making some performance parts, which is really cool. Something that we haven't really done before, and something that we plan on doing. All right, guys. Again, this is Andrew at Flory PB, and we're good for now.